Tony Abbott conceded that this morning. It's not easy.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that the opposition is wading back into a spending cut costings argument, because it didn't go so well for them when their costings were looked at by Treasury during the negotiations with the independents after the election. I mean, they're going to also have to be pretty careful how they lay out their own spending cuts.
What did you make this morning when you had the opportunity to say that the flood victims in Queensland are a more deserving case than the Liberal Party in terms of... And he could have made the obvious point, but didn't.
Well, it would have been very easy to make, and it's difficult sometimes to understand what drives Tony Abbott not to make what seems to most people a pretty easy, logical thing to say. When I first rang his office on Wednesday afternoon and asked them about this email, and they said, we'll get back to you, then they came back to me and their immediate response was to essentially blame the Liberal Party. My anticipation was they would come back and say, oh, look, that was an error by the party, we've taken it off. That would have been easy to do too, but they didn't do it. I'm baffled sometimes why Tony Abbott can't do that sort of small logical step.
Well, let's hear from Julia Gillard on Meet the Press on this issue this morning, and then we'll go on with this. Here she is.
I've been absolutely amazed that Tony Abbott somehow thought it was okay to be out fundraising for the Liberal Party during a national crisis like the one we have been going through. I've been absolutely amazed that he hasn't taken responsibility for an email with his name on it, and I've been absolutely amazed his message to Australians has been, you can afford to give the Liberal Party money, but you can't afford to give money through the levy to help Queensland.
Nikki, you get the sense she thinks the politics are turning?
Well, I guess she's hoping that the politics are turning, and this is certainly something that they can exploit, because it was crass and it was insensitive, and it would have been better for Abbott to have distanced himself from it. But he's got a bit more of a problem there than just that, because he has the federal director on one hand, Brian Loughnane, and the federal director's wife, Peter Credlin, working in his office. So if it's a problem with the office, then it's Loughnane's wife, and if it's a problem with the Secretariat, it's Brian Loughnane himself. So he feels, I think, a bit caught between the two.
There's only one way to resolve that conflict.
Either or both of them should go, and that's what a lot of people are saying within the Liberal Party. They view it as an untenable situation, and this was, in effect, Brian Loughnane's fault. I mean, he authorised the email.